My throat feels like absolute hell. No matter what I do, I'm taking spoonfuls of honey. Your mom's whispering in my ear, which sounds like honey. I'm taking cough drops out the wazoo. I'm cycling Tylenol and Advil as directed by the doctor to manage the inflammation and pain. I'm doing it all. But it gets to the point where I can't really eat anything. So now I've had to turn to liquid calories. I've got Gatorade and I've got Ensure, which are like these protein drinks or whatever that are like 150 calories each, but they have like a lot of vitamins, minerals. The Gatorade has the electrolytes, but even drinking those hurts. So it's like, God damn, I'm fucked. It's all over. So if you're super incredibly based and watch my Twitch streams on a regular basis, you'll notice that I haven't actually streamed in a little bit. I took a couple days off, and that's actually kind of strange for me. Even though I technically take every other day off, for me to take a day off on days that I would normally stream is a bit odd. I don't do that because I'm very consistent. I am, some say, one of the most consistent live streamers and YouTube uploaders out there. Many are saying this. But I did take a break, and there's actually a good reason for that. The reason, you might actually hear a little bit in my voice, though I don't know how much it comes through by this point because I've been talking for a while on stream. I got a septoplasty, which is a corrective procedure that fixes a deviated septum in your nose. So your septum is that thing in the middle here that people like to put sharp objects through so that they can have cute little rings in there. It's what divides the two nostrils that you have. I had, and I'm quoting my doctor here, a septum that was, quote, all screwed up. That's what he said. It was very deviated. And because I also have a history of sinus issues, chronic year-round allergies, essentially every possible problem when it comes to breathing, the idea that even mechanically my nose would have difficulty breathing, it kind of makes sense to want to fix that. So at least the other things that are also causing problems aren't as bad. And my doctors seem to agree. So here's what that looks like. I'm not going to show you actual footage of my procedure. Also, here's a disgusting alien. Observe. So there's going to be a medical diagram, all right? Not my actual nose. This is actually two different noses, apparently. Bonk. It's just a random image I found. Septoplasty. So we've got the cartilage in the middle here. We've got the nostril hole, or holes, the main entrance, or exit, and the turbinates. This is what these things are called. And this is just an example. You know, the degree to which a septum is deviated can vary. But here it is. They do this. So they remove some of the cartilage. They straighten her out. This is the conversion therapy that the left is, you know, going crazy over or something. They straighten it out, and you have to remove a little bit of it or else it wouldn't fit, so that your nostrils have equal space on either side rather than a weird amount of space on either side. And it's not always going to be the case, but there will also be a turbinate reduction, done. And that turbinate reduction is reducing the size of these here because they can block the, you know, passage of air through your nose as well. So now my septum is straight, but I am not, and it is what it is. The recovery process has been cringe, but that's, you know, recovery process for surgery, so what can you do? I mean, that's what that's for. So hopefully, once I'm fully recovered, because I'm still in the recovery process, I'm breathing better. Currently, if my nose is fully clear, I am breathing better, so it already feels like it's worked for the intended purpose. It's not a cosmetic procedure, so you shouldn't be able to notice anything different about like what my nose looks like. I didn't get a nose job. I didn't get a rhinoplasty where they change the look of your nose on the outside. It's just on the inside. I guess depending on how deviated it is, you could see a little bit of change, but for me, not really. So yeah, pretty neat. IMO, kind of cool. Theoretically, this could have been done a lot earlier in my life, but didn't happen because I live in America, so we don't take healthcare seriously in this country. If I wasn't on poor people's government health insurance, then I probably would have had to, you know, pay through the nose to get this done. So, AKA, I wouldn't be able to. Well, luckily, I'm poor enough to be able to, you know, get on poor people's government health insurance, so there we go. Let's go. So this is actually the first surgery I've ever gotten, which is kind of neat. This is actually the first surgery I've ever gotten in my 26 years of life. I have never gotten another surgery. Oh, also, for the deviated septum thing, as far as I'm aware, usually you're going to get a deviated septum just through genetics and the way that your body develops over time. I think there are also ways that a septum can deviate unnaturally, I guess, let's say. But mine was just, I think, the product of, like, that's just how my nose decided to shape. It's also possible that the fact that I've had, like, year-round allergies my entire life could also play a part in that, because like I've been fucking with my nose my whole life because I've had allergies and sinus issues my whole life. So it could be also that. I don't know. These are just guesses I have. I don't know if it's actually true. Yeah. So it's the first surgery I've ever had in my 26 years of life, which is nice because this is a surgery that I decided to have, not one that I had to have out of necessity. Though, I mean, you could make an argument that there is a level of necessity here because the quality of life that this would render for me and being able to breathe like a normal human, kind of almost life-saving in a way for how much better your life is if you can actually breathe properly compared to when you can't. Because not being able to breathe properly is shockingly not that great for humans. There's a variety of comorbidities associated with it, and it's not good, and you don't feel good. So, to walk you through the process of how this all went down, I think I was talking about this on stream before I got it done, before I decided to get it done. I used to have my webcam for live streaming and YouTube videos on the left side. And you'll remember that in some of my older videos, my webcam is placed on the left side over here. Especially in this scene, this window of me would be over there, and so would the chat, right? But now it's on the right side, and now my webcam is on the right side. The reason for this is because my right side of my face is my good side, is what I've determined from looking at my face for so long, because I kind of have to as a content creator, right? And I was like, why is that? There has to be a reason why the right side of my face is better. I used to have my hair parted over here and more of my hair on this side, because this used to be the side of the face that I would show the camera all the time. But now it's over here. And there could be a variety of factors that go into that. But it could also be, I noticed, well, my nostrils actually look different on either side of my face. This nostril was slimmer, whereas this nostril was more upturned and a little bit bigger. And I noticed that when I looked at the difference, like the side by side, and I was like, huh, why the hell is that? That seems a bit odd. So I looked at my nose in the mirror from underneath, and I realized that like the tip of my nose didn't match up with the middle of my lips here. And like, that doesn't have to mean you have a deviated septum, but that was like the first idea that I might. And I was like, huh, okay. Well, if we think about my literal history of my entire life having sinus issues, messing with my nose a lot because of those sinus issues, maybe at some point through the development of my body, my septum could have become deviated. So I talked to my general care practitioner and I was like, yo, I think I got a deviated septum. And because of all these other problems, that's probably not a good thing. And maybe fixing that would be helpful for my quality of life. And they were like, okay, well, let me look in your nose. And then they did. And it turns out that they were like, oh yeah, you might actually have a deviated septum. I'm going to refer you to an ear, noses, and throat, an ENT specialist. So then I went and saw the ear, noses, and throat specialist, and he told me that my septum was, quote, all screwed up. So it turns out that I was correct. My deductions were right. My brain is huge, and I'm essentially a doctor. You can call me Conure PhD now, Dr. Conure, if you want. I will not be providing any receipts for that. Anyway, so then at that point, we schedule the septoplasty, and then comes the surgery time. I have to stop taking my Flonase, which is my antihistamine that I spray into my nose, 2 nostril sprays, so 4 total, 2 in each nostril, every day to stop my allergies from being as bad. It doesn't get rid of them, it just makes them not as bad. I also take an oral tablet antihistamine as well for the same purpose. So I had to stop taking that, meaning that my allergies have the potential to be worse, but luckily I'm not going outside as much while I've been recovering because I can't, but we'll get into that. I also had to stop eating food 11 hours before the surgery, and I think this is because if you do eat food too close to the surgery, it can mess with the anesthesia, and for a septoplasty, you go all the way under. You get put to sleep, and then they work on you, and then you wake up. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, you get the hopium gas, and you take a nappy. I also had to stop drinking water 2 hours before the scheduled time I had to be there, which is hell for me. Because of my allergies, I drink a lot of water because I'm prone to getting dry mouth, dry throat because of my allergies, my sinus issues, and generally speaking, water helps those too. So that was hell. I had to stop some medications, blah, 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 blah. I have to get there at goddamn 8 a.m., which is absurd for me. So if you don't know me, for a while I've been starting my streams really late, like 9 p.m. Pacific time. So in Eastern, that's like what, 11 and 12? Goddamn, that's very late. Today I started stream at 6 something p.m. So that's better. Hoping for that to be the standard. Been going to bed earlier and yada, yada, yada. So I think I was actually able to get to bed at a decent hour, surprisingly. Before the surgery, I wake up, we go to the hospital, I get there, And then I have to wait like an hour for the nurse to bring me in and start the whole process. And I've also not really been in hospitals that much. I've been in hospitals more times seeing family members in the hospital than I have been myself in a hospital for me. Well, I'm not used to regularly getting checkups at a doctor's office or going to the hospital for whatever procedures or blah, 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 blah. You know, healthcare is new to me. Having healthcare is new to me. This is the real American way. I've had the true American experience when it comes to healthcare. So we get there, I wait an hour, we start to go up, we do the whole thing, and the process was surprisingly easy. Like, you just have to disrobe, get into the clothes that they give you that are sanitary. You walk in after getting IV'd, they stick you with the life juice, and my nurse that was doing the IV and all that was a nice old lady. I love her to death. She was so adorable, very fun. I was cracking jokes. She was cracking jokes. It was a hoot and a holler. We then go on into the surgery room, and this is not only is the first time I've ever had a surgery, it's also the first time I've ever been on anesthesia in any capacity. I have never had, I think it's called a local anesthetic, where they just numb a part of you, as far as I remember. I don't think I have. And I've certainly never had general anesthesia where they put you to bed. So I had general anesthesia because, you know, they're messing around with things in your head. They don't want you to be accidentally like moving around and then you got a scalpel in your skull, right? That doesn't seem very good. How's your reaction to what? The IV? I don't give a hell. So I'm weird. I like needles and I like watching the doctor put them in me. It's just an interest thing for me. I just find it intriguing. Like, huh. They're able to find the vein like that, and they're able to put it in the vein like that. It's kind of cool. But I'm weird. I get that. I'm strange. Like, I don't have a phobia of needles. I find it kind of... I look at them when they do it. But anyway, I'm just based and not a coward. So we get into the operation room. I lay there, and then they put the mask on you, the oxygen mask, so that you could breathe. And apparently people have been told to count down from 10, and usually people don't get all the way to 0 from 10. They didn't tell me to do that, which is a bit unfair. Voss told me that apparently when he was put under, he only got to 4, so I was going to try to see if I could beat him, maybe get to 3. But maybe I should have counted in my head. But, so I'm laying there, and I was talking to him about it before the surgery, and he told me that it's kind of like when you fall asleep, like you don't really actively think about when you're falling asleep, like, oh, I'm transitioning from the awake to sleep state. It just kind of happens, and then eventually you wake up, and it's like, oh, well, I fell asleep. It's literally the same thing. You got the thing on you. They start to pump you with oxygen. You're like a specimen on the operating table. And then eventually, like, I didn't even remember when I fucking stopped being conscious. I just was. And when I remembered that I was unconscious, well, I was unconscious. I didn't have a dream either. I don't know if that's typical for people. I mean, if you had a dream while under anesthesia, you know, write your story in the comments, I guess. But I did not, which is a bit unfortunate because I'm a person who's usually having dreams. Also, when it comes to the idea of like the transitionary state between being awake and being asleep, so because I'm interested in lucid dreaming, because I'm interested in sleep in general, and dreams specifically, even when they're not lucid, there are actually times like, you know, those moments where you feel like you're falling off your bed even though you're not, and you jolt awake? Apparently in those moments, if you can not jolt awake, that's actually a good way to essentially fall into a lucid dream, which I've kind of done before. The one time I've ever manually lucid dreamt, like fell asleep with the intention to do so, it felt like I was falling through my bed. It was kind of weird. And then eventually I was in a dream. It was very, very weird. Very cool. But there's also those times where you'll like hear sounds that aren't actually happening as you're falling asleep. Surely some of you have recognized this. Like you'll hear music playing, or you'll hear somebody talking who's not actually talking. You hear like car noises or something, but it's not actually happening. Yeah, these are auditory hallucinations, for those of you who don't know. I find them kind of interesting. And I can recognize those while I'm still conscious, and I know that they're happening. And I can actually choose what sounds I'm hearing sometimes, which is kind of cool. So I can kind of guide myself toward the sleep state in that way. And the reason I'm on this tangent, I guess, is I was wondering how the process from going from conscious to unconscious under anesthesia would be. And it's not like that. It's like how most people fall asleep, I think, where it just eventually the screen cuts to black, and then suddenly it's this. After a couple hours. So stupid. Say the line, man.
You are finally awake.
And that's that. So my finally awake moment was there was nurses around me. Time has passed. The surgeon did the whole damn thing. And I'm like delirious. My vision is blurry. I'm like, holy shit, is this real life? I didn't say that though. The nurses are talking to me, asking me questions, trying to see if I'm coherent or if they just accidentally vegetated me. Turns out we're good. I'm still as fucked up as I used to be, except my septum isn't anymore. The one thing I remember being the funniest. So for me, it wasn't like a weird thing. It was just entertaining. It was funny because like I'm hopped up on all kind of pain meds and shit as well, coming out of anesthesia. And like I'm slurring my words. I'm not saying slurs. I'm slurring my words. So like, you know, trying to answer these questions and talk to people, which I found very funny. That didn't actually last that long. The things that I noticed the most was that I wanted to rub my eyes a lot, but I was not allowed to. So they offered like an ice pack or something to put over it, which I said yes to, because why not? Fuck it, we ball. And my throat was very like dry. Like I wanted to drink water because I'm addicted to water. That's a fact of life. I have an addiction to water. I can't live without it. I think it's worse than most people's as well. I'm trying to get off it at some point. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I mean, apparently you're not allowed to drink water afterward. They can only offer you ice chips. So they were like, oh, well, we can give you ice chips instead. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. I think I literally said that as well. I don't remember. But every single time they offered me ice chips was like the best time of my life. Those ice chips hit different in that state. It was very good. And you go through the whole usual thing. You get back into your regular clothes after the whole ordeal. And then Voss picks me up after I'm being wheeled out in a wheelchair by the nurse because you can't drive home yourself, obviously. After being under general anesthetic, you're not fully there with your motor skills. You are a danger to yourself and others. For some people, that's just the standard, and they shouldn't be driving even though this country forces you to. And I will say, for as much as people say Vosh bad, he was very kind. He's a good friend, always has been, and he was very kind and helpful and essentially did all the things that I needed him to do, which was essentially drive me from the hospital to home and also get me things that I needed. Because after surgery, you can't do a lot of things. You can't lift heavy things for like a matter of weeks. So at this point in the story, it's literally the day of. I get home. My throat's a little sore because of the anesthesia, the breathing tube that they put in you, and the fact that I had dry throat as well from not being able to drink water and probably mouth breathing. I hated it. That's the worst part. Easily the worst part of the recovery process from this procedure has not been anything to do with my nose. It's been my throat. It's been the fact that I've had a sore throat for a goddamn week. And just yesterday was the first time it was good for the whole day. And I got stories to tell about that. But there's a bunch of things that you can't do. So you can't lift heavy objects. You can't exert yourself. So unfortunately, I can't exercise. I was just getting back into running too. So I can't do that. We got a punching bag, which I can't use. Though we're slowly getting to the point where I might start to become able to use it. We'll see. And because of that, the exertion and whatnot, it messes with your blood vessels and your blah, blah, blah. But you don't really feel like doing it anyway. So it's whatever. I'm all bandaged up, by the way. So I posted on Twitter the day of the surgery, essentially just about as I got home, what I was looking like at the time. With a filter, mind you, because why would I post without one? So here it is. Do not tell Hassan Piker he's bad at Valorant. And it's true, you shouldn't. It's a bad idea. It's frankly not a good move. And I wish somebody told me sooner, because golly. Did he get upset? So this is obviously a meme that I think was started with Prezzo. Not the Prezzo challenge, the other Prezzo meme, where Prezzo also had some kind of thing going on where he had bandages on his face, and it was the do not tell us on Piker, that's the thing. Also, Cloudy on Twitter at one of my oomfies. I don't know how safe for work their page is. Let me see. I think they have their tweet, their version of it pinned, and she does. So then Cloudy, in response to Prezzo's, with a tweet that went harder than mine did, because frankly, I think it's because Cloudy is prettier than me. Let's just be real. Let's factual information, all right? The Valorant one, I didn't want to straight up copy, so I did the Valorant thing because he'd been playing Valorant recently. But yeah, so there's that. And obviously this is a joke as well, but I thought it was very funny, so I thought of making my own. And that's just how to tell you how dumb I am. Like how broken my brain is. Even before the surgery, I was thinking, wait, I remember this meme. it would be really funny if I could do something similar. So I was thinking, okay, well, how would I do that? Would I be able to have my phone in the operating room? Probably not. When will I get my phone? Okay, well, and then I just, I waited until I got back, and I thought it was funny. And also, I look a little out of it because I was. I'm still on the painkillers at this point, but I have this bandage here. And what this bandage is for blood and mucus, if you must know. And it's pretty helpful, I would say. And I had to keep this thing on my nose, obviously, while changing it. I think I had to keep it for 4 days, and it was not fun. So that was like 4 days worth of my life, just having to change these. So then I sat here, I took a nap, I think. It was actually not that bad for a little bit. The first like 2 days, my throat was a little sore, but I was able to eat. I had chicken noodle soup, which is very tasty. From the can, not homemade. I'm not cooking. Are you insane? And I was also able to eat sour gummy worms, which is probably, in hindsight, not a good idea with a sore throat, but whatever. Fuck it. But yeah, that was fine. Oh, I guess I should say as well, before we move on, this tweet also got me recognized by 4 of my biggest fans. We got Hank Pecker on the left here. We got Carl Jacobs, Ludwig, and William Neff. Unfortunately, only one of these people follow me on Twitter. Will Neff, because he's based and epic, the real hero of the proletariat, Will Neff, actually does a lot to boost and collaborate with smaller creators and streamers. Big fan of that guy. He's my favorite streamer for a reason, has been for a long time, even before he followed me on Twitter. Frankly, his follow only made me like him more. But I just thought this was funny. So I will say that, so the first night, falling asleep and staying asleep was hell. And the reason for this is very simple. So I posted about it on Twitter. This is a couple days later, but still relevant. The human body. Hey, yo, we gotta sleep a lot after the surgery so we can heal up. I'll even help by making you super tired all the time. Also the human body. Good luck with that, though. And the problem is, I'm sleeping, right? As one does. And I gotta be breathing when I'm sleeping. I don't know if you other people out there are different, but I sleep and breathe at the same time. And obviously I'm not trying to breathe through my nose because I gotta sleep with a bandage on, and I have to sleep with my head at least a 30-degree angle. Obviously, because I'm having a lot of drainage from my nose, you don't want to be straight back on your back at a fucking 90-degree angle with the bed. That wouldn't be a good idea. You might die. So first of all, I'm not a back sleeper because I'm not a fucking bottom, okay? Real Giga Chads sleep on their side in the tiger knee position, okay? This is the real way Giga Chads sleep. In the tiger knee position, though your head doesn't need to be this craned forward. Jesus. This is the best way to sleep. And that's how I sleep. I don't like sleeping on my back. It sucks. And for those of you who know, for me, and I think generally speaking, people say, you're more likely to get sleep paralysis if you're sleeping on your back compared to if you're sleeping on your side. And there's some reasons for that. And I've got a lot of experience with sleep paralysis myself. I've had multiple episodes, though luckily for me, they're not that bad. I don't see any usually visual hallucinations. Sometimes I hear some auditory hallucinations, but not many. I become awake. I can't move because my body is still paralyzed, but I'm conscious and awake. And then I feel like shit because you get really anxiety ridden when that happens, obviously, because your body doesn't like being paralyzed and knowing about it. So then I close my eyes because luckily I could still do that. And then I try to force myself awake, and it is what it is. But luckily I didn't have to deal with that. However, I still don't like sleeping on my back. So I'm having to do that. So I've got pillows stacked on my bed so I could sleep with my head at, I think I got it at like a 45-degree angle, and it was not that bad, but it was still not ideal. And I'm breathing through my mouth. But the problem is that I very easily get a dry mouth and dry throat because of my sinus issues, which is why I drink a lot of water all the time. So when I'm mouth breathing the whole time, like I'm putting my tongue toward the roof of my mouth to try to block some of the air getting to the directly back of my mouth, or like changing it a little bit so that it's not directly hitting it. And it's a disaster. I can't really breathe through my nose. I can technically, but because I have a bandage here, it kind of just heats up my nose and dries it out if I try to do that. And the thing is that I've got these in my nose too. These are nasal splints that go in your nostrils, deep in your nostrils too. You can see them in your actual nostril. They're out now. But you can see them in your actual nostril about, I don't know the actual dimension, but here is my thumbnail. About from here up, about that far into your nostril, you can see them. That's a matter of centimeters or millimeters there. That might be like 2 to 3 centimeters. I don't know. You can see them there at the very edge. This part, or this part, one of those. Yeah, the nose macaroni. They italified me. And they've got the tubes here, obviously, and these are multi-purpose. I think they help with the drainage, they help with your breathing, they help keep your nose in the position that it's supposed to be in to heal in, so that it doesn't heal back in a bad position, because that's kind of antithetical to the surgery you got. And they weren't actually that bad unless my nose got dry. So if I'm sleeping and then I'm breathing through my nose is already going to get dry by default over time. But if I'm breathing through my nose and heating up my nose because the bandage there, it's just going to get dry faster. And that's going to wake me up. I'm using a saline spray, mind you, this whole time. I've got to do it for 5 times a day, and I still do. I've been doing it on breaks on stream today to keep, the inside of my nostrils moistened and help the healing process. But obviously, I can't do that in my sleep. So I have to get up, get out of bed, spray the shit in my nose, change the bandage, go back into bed, try to go back to sleep, sip some water. But when I'm sipping water, my throat hurts. It hurts to drink water, especially if it's cold. So I have to drink room temperature water, and it's a disaster. It's a disaster. The first night of sleep was surprisingly not that bad, though. And then the next day comes around, and I'm still able to kind of eat food a little bit. I had some soup, some stuff that's not too hard, or nothing I had to chew too much. That was fine. The third day, however, was when the real bullshit kicked in. The third day comes around, and my throat feels like absolute hell. No matter what I do, I'm taking spoonfuls of honey. Your mom's whispering in my ear, which sounds like honey. I'm taking cough drops out the wazoo. I'm cycling Tylenol and Advil as directed by the doctor to manage the inflammation and pain. I'm doing it all. But it gets to the point where I can't really eat anything. It's hard for me to drink water, but I'm still doing it. And I can't really eat anything. So now I've had to turn to liquid calories. So I've got Gatorade and I've got Ensure, which are like these protein drinks or whatever that are like 150 calories each, but they have like a lot of vitamins, minerals, protein. The Gatorade has the electrolytes, but even drinking those hurts. So it's like, God damn, I'm fucked. It's all over. I did not feel like it was the end, but it felt like, I wanted it to end. And by that, I mean, like, get through this process and get to, like, today, where I feel a lot better. So that was hell. So I'm drinking the Ensure, and it hurts to drink it. So I take 2 drinks of it, then I put it down, and then I drink water, and then I put that down. And the water doesn't hurt as much as the Ensure, but it still does. Then I wait a little bit, and then I subject myself to pain 2 more times, and then a 3rd time, and then keep doing that process instead of drinking all the Ensure. I was not eating very well. I was not getting the requisite 2,000 calories a day, and that's not really good. So the unfortunate thing when you're healing from a surgery or any kind of injury is you want to get calories in because your body is exerting and spending a lot of energy healing you. So you want to get calories in so that your body can use those calories to heal yourself. Makes sense. You also want to sleep so that your body can heal you while you're sleeping because your body heals you while you're sleeping. In fact, I think it's more efficient if you're asleep. And so eating is difficult and sleeping is difficult. Let's go, because it's a surgery on my sinuses, on my nasal. I was malnourished. I was very weak physically. Couldn't do a whole lot. Felt like shit. Didn't want to do anything. I ended up playing a lot of video games. So for when I could, I played a lot of Multiverses. I played a lot of Vampire Survivors. Some Omega, what are they called? Omega Strikers. A little bit of Risk of Rain 2. I re-downloaded Valorant because I kind of want to play that game again. But I was only playing Deathmatch and Escalation, which is a gun game. I've just been watching like Nesua play Valorant and whatnot, so I kind of want to. I'm watching Kaide as well, even though I've always been bad at FPS. Other than that, I'm just watching videos and wasting away. There was one night that was particularly bad where I was profoundly nauseous, but me being a very stupid person was like, okay, well, I'm nauseous and feel like I have to vomit. So I'm just not going to vomit, and I'm going to do all that I can to not vomit. And my thinking was, okay, well, I don't really have a lot of calories, and I don't really have the capacity to get a lot of calories, and my body kind of needs them, so I certainly don't want to throw them up. And I've already got calories in me very recently. Like, I don't think it's been fully digested yet. So I don't want to vomit because, like, it's been hard enough to get these calories. To lose them would be devastating. That's my thought process. And frankly, I think that's a fine thought process. So I'm here, sitting here, rubbing my belly, in pain, leaking from the nose with a bandage on it, with a sore throat and an upset tummy, breathing like a mother giving birth. And I decided to binge watch Jawbreathe videos and some Jacob Geller videos that night. And I also decided to watch The Irishman. Martin Scorsese's The Irishman, because I've been meaning to watch that for a while. And I was like, okay, well, I'm probably not sleeping tonight. It's already like 3 a.m. and I know I'm not getting to sleep right now. So what can I do to occupy my time and my brain for a long ass time? The Irishman. It's a 3.5-hour movie. Let's go. Apparently it was supposed to be a series, like an episodic series, but ended up getting turned into a movie, which is why it's so long. So I did that, and yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I like a lot of organized crime, mob flicks, all this kind of stuff. This one didn't have... So what was really cool to me for The Irishman, just a really quick tangent, not a lot of woman beating in it, which frankly I think is a good change, because if you've seen Goodfellas, if you've seen The Godfathers Part 1 and Part 2, shame they never made a Part 3, it's a lot of woman beating in it. Obviously in The Irishman there's still some misogyny and all this, but it's not really like a very big thing in the movie, which I thought was nice. Obviously, like, it's, you know, the times, that's how it was, and blah, 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 blah. It's still bad, obviously. And I don't know that you need to highlight it as much. Like, you can use that to show, like, which characters are really bad, which they kind of do, and blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't that much in that, or I think there was any of that in The Irishman. And it didn't, like, do anything to the series. I thought the series was still good. Or the movie was still good. But anyway, so eventually I did end up throwing up, despite my best efforts. Though maybe I waited long enough for my stomach to digest the few calories I did get, so by the time that it broke me. Luckily for me, I was prepared. I had a bag. I was ready to go. And then I'm hitting up the ice chips afterward, because I Googled what to do after you vomit, and found out that drinking a lot of water right away is not a good idea. So I was chewing on ice chips, which was a vibe. My throat still hurt, but whatever. Finish watching The Irishman, eventually get to bed at 8 a.m. and sleep until like 4 or something. I think I woke up halfway through, but I did feel better, so that's good. That was the worst of it. And other than that, it was just like difficulty sleeping. Like I would lay down to fall asleep. It would be, for those who don't know, it's really easy for me to fall asleep. In fact, it's kind of a problem how easy it is for me to fall asleep, because it's hard for me to get out of bed unless I immediately get out of bed and occupy my tiny little brain with, unfortunately right now, it's social media, where I'll get up out of my bed, turn my alarm off, which I keep on my desk, and then I look at stuff on my PC till my body actually wakes up. It takes like a half hour to an hour. It's really easy for me to fall asleep. But this time, it wasn't really. But it wasn't that bad for some of it. Especially having to lay in a position I'm not used to on my back. Fuck that shit. I don't know how back sleepers do it. You're all deranged. So then, like, waking up after, like, only an hour of sleep and, like, having to take 30 minutes to an hour to get back to sleep and blah, blah, blah. It's some bullshit. But we made it happen. Yesterday was the first day I was able to eat a full meal. I had Greek food. Profoundly grateful for that Greek food because it was really good and I'm glad I could eat it. I had a chicken gyro plate. Unfortunately, I would usually get a chicken gyro and eat it au natural, but unfortunately, it's not going to be too easy for me to eat. Stuff like that. So I got a plate and it was really good. And yeah, now we're chilling. My throat's not that bad. After talking as much now, I kind of feel it. I don't think it's at the point where it's like gonna hurt. It's just kind of strained. Now my voice is a little phlegmy as well today, as I mentioned before. My nose is stuffy currently. On the most recent break I took on stream, I was shooting saline spray in my nose, as I'm supposed to keep it moistened and whatnot. And yeah, I'm chilling. So we'll see how I do in the coming days and weeks. So essentially, I've rounded the worst corner in the recovery process, and there were some dark days, let me tell you. Well, I've rounded the corner in the recovery process, and now we're keeping on chugging, as I knew I would. I knew there was going to be some dark hours, but I knew there was light at the end of the tunnel, and here I am, chugging like this guy. And now I'm essentially back to normal, except for the things that I have to do with my nose. There's still a little bit of pressure in my nose here and in my sinuses, which I'm weird. I kind of like it. And I'm also used to my nose and sinuses having pressure and being congested and blah, blah, blah. Like, I've been training my whole life for that. So that's not the biggest deal. I still got to be careful. I can't, like, run yet. I can't punch the punching bag yet. Unfortunately, I'm also on leave when it comes to the very important duty that I have, which is fucking your mother. I can't really do that. And yeah, so after about a week or so, I think we'll be vibing. And then after a week after that, I think we'll be essentially back to normal. But when it comes to back to normal in regards to my day-to-day life outside of those very small things, it's essentially the same. I can eat the same things now. I did yesterday, I did today. I can drink the same things now, so the sore throat problem is not as bad. And I'm able to stream again. I did one stream where I revealed my true form. Hello. There it is! It's me. My real form. Real face poggers. I cannot begin to tell you how fucking weird it feels to be streaming like this. And I can't say much more than that. But yeah, I have a pngtube avatar. It's very cute. Shouts out veadotube mini. Give them money. You could technically get this for free if you don't have a lot of money, but you should give them money. I have. It's very helpful, especially for streamers, if you already usually use cam on days where you can't, like this. See, like I got a cute little face that I can make look like it's talking when I'm talking. It's voice activated on days where I can't be on cam or just don't want to be, which is really helpful. 39 Daff is where I found this, because she uses it on days where she doesn't want to be on cam. And I think it's very cool. It's also very good for people who don't want to be on cam in general, to give your stream a little bit more personality, because people like to see the voice coming from something. If it's not your actual flesh face, they like to see the voice coming from something rather than being disembodied on a screen like this without me on it, right? PNG tubing. It's not VTubing. VTubing implies a little bit more fidelity. But this is still really good. And the program is very good too. You can highly customize it. You don't have to have like an open mouth or closed mouth image, though I made one. You can also make very rudimentary ones by like just making a circle in MS Paint over top of the graphic you're using, and then making a not circle when they're not talking. I also have it so that it fades out when I'm not talking, and it, you know, lights up and bounces around when I am, which I think is cute. You can also have different states. Here I have one where my peepo is flipping the bird and holding the glizzy, because, you know, he keeps that thing on him. That's what this little pocket's for, you see. There's also one where when I talk, he pulls out his finger in the glizzy, which I think is funny. And then I made this one specifically on this stream. You don't see it yet. I made this one specifically with the bandage over where his nose would be, even though he's a bird, and the nose holes are technically there. So I guess this would still work. And it's really cute. Also, the developer is trans. Let's go! Because all developers are trans, obviously. We've known this. And yeah, look, here I am making it. Check that out. See how cool I am? But yeah, I am back, theoretically, as far as I know, to doing the regular streams that I do. The YouTube channel has still been putting out videos, so that's good. We've got content in the backlog that we've been going through. I'm going to be recording some new stuff. I am literally right now, and in the next stream as well, so that'll be fun. And yeah, we're essentially back to normal. Feels good, man. Glad to finally be out of the abyss of the recovery zone. So when it comes to if I'm breathing better or not as a result of the surgery, yes, I would say so. If I breathe through my nose right now, well, my nose is a little stuffy right now because I'm still recovering. There are times where my nose isn't stuffy though, and it feels very clear. Like it feels very spacious, which is not a normal feeling that I'm used to having. Also, for those of you who don't know, your nostrils apparently, like there's a primary nostril at any given time, where sometimes one of your nostrils is the main nostril and the other takes a back seat, and vice versa. So like if you have a really messed up nostril on one side and like an okay one on the other, if the primary nostril is the really messed up one, well, then you're not going to be able to breathe very well. And if you have allergies, it's going to be even worse. Like if you got a clogged up nose because of your allergies, it's going to be even worse, and blah, 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 blah. So it actually does feel a lot better. And we'll see after I've fully recovered how good it is. But I can tell you that when my nose is like as clear as possible, I guess, after the surgery, it feels infinitely better than what it did before. So I would say it was a success. And the doctor is also saying that the recovery is going very well. So that's also a success. Hell yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief little story. If you've got any interesting surgery stories, be careful with the details in the comments. You don't want to like give out sensitive info about yourself or anything that you might think might be too graphic, or if there's anything that might be triggering, put up a content warning or whatever. Be careful. Throw those up in the comments if you want. We can all reminisce on the hard times and the good times. And thanks for hanging out. I don't really do it often, but hey, yo, I've got a Patreon. Hit up the Patreon. Wow. Patreon.com/ConnorCC, where you can give me money if you have extra money to spend and would like to support me. Also, hit up my Twitch streams, twitch.tv/ConnorCC. We stream every other day. Pod. That's what I'm recording this out right now. So these fine people are at. And I hope you have a good day. Bye.